Saturday night.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Saturday.
Monday.
Saturday. Hey, Tamarlou. First one in. We're waiting for Monica. Monica is going to...
The Posh Hanger.
The Posh Hanger.
The amazing Posh Hanger.
Amazing Posh Hanger. There she is.
Man, right on time.
Right? Girls, that it works tonight. We're waiting.
We're connecting.
Oh, there you are!
We're gonna move ourselves.
I can't use the doggy filter. Hold on.
No, you can't use the doggy.
Oh, we can do that.
Okay, I'm picking it up. Just had to be silly. But I feel like so much more comfortable with this on. Okay.
I want to do that.
No, you don't need a doggy filter.
I do. I need a doggy filter. Oh!
Okay, can I use this one? Okay, how about the nice one? Ooh. Okay.
Oh.
I didn't know we can do all those.
I didn't know we could do those either while we were live. See, all this time we've been going without filters.
I saw somebody go live with the doggy filter, and I was like, I could do that.
An idea.
Yeah.
No.
Please.
If you can do it on Wednesdays if you give up the hat.
No.
Do
There
it.
you go.
Do it.
Oh, well, I am so excited you are here.
I'm happy to be here. I love you guys. Okay. Before we start, I was talking to Cindy the other day, and I was just thinking about how busy we all are, right?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. And the fact that you guys are going live every single morning for an hour, taking that time out of your busy day, 6 days a week.
We don't have a life, Monica.
No hobbies.
Let's face it. We don't have a life.
I know you do. So I just think that what you guys are doing for the community is so giving, so sweet, and it's. I feel like the lives, and I'm sad that it's at the time that I got to take my son, but I feel like it just really brings the community together, and you guys are just doing it so selflessly, and I just think
She'll make you cry.
Oh.
You're going to make her cry. See that? That's the cryy face. I get that.
Seriously,
I get that a lot.
you guys are, and I hope, come on in the comments, give them some hearts, because they do a lot for the community, and they don't do it for an expectation of return. That's the best part. You guys do it because
We're just having fun.
but not only is it fun, you're trying to add value to the community, and you are not asking for anything in return other than involvement and sharing of knowledge and community. And I wanted to say that because I just think you guys do such an amazing job. So.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you,
Thank you.
Monica. But we do get a lot out of it. We get a lot of tips and tricks from other sellers. But thank you so much.
Yes. And we love you. See, this is just going to be an all we love you.
No.
All gushy.
All gushy. You know, one of the things that I love about Monica, she doesn't brag on herself. So she's so honest and she's so truthful and she puts it all out there, but she deserves to be bragged on a little bit here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Because you do so much. You do so much. And you've done the whole Facebook group, but I don't think that you even pat yourself on the back enough for everything that you do. So let's go through a little bit of what Monica does here. Don't make that face. It's okay.
What are we going to talk about?
But Monica kills it at Amazon. Mm-hmm. She jumped in, just, didn't know what to do, didn't just watch some videos, just went out there and did it. She has killed it at wholesale. She kills it on eBay. She's killing it on Poshmark. She writes more messages and responds to DMs and all of that than anybody else I know. And she does it as a single mom and as a single person. Like, she's a one-man show totally. She proves that you can do this. And yeah, totally serious. Monica has serious goals. She rocks it everywhere she goes, and she does it by herself. She doesn't have help. You know, like, we have each other.
We do.
Yeah, and you're there doing it by yourself, being motivated, staying goal-oriented, keeping yourself going every single day. And that is amazing.
It is.
I
think sometimes I'm more of a burden, though.
That's not true. I wouldn't say I kill it and everything, but I definitely am working towards my goals, and I'm always trying to improve and just share my knowledge along the way. And you're right. It's hard to give yourself a pat on the back when you're the type of person that is naturally hard on yourself. Mm-hmm. And I'm always thinking of like, oh, I didn't get this done, or oh, I didn't get that done, or I used to be, when I first started Instagram, I got into the whole comparison thing. I don't do so much anymore, but I expect a lot of myself. So there are times, even recently, where I am hard on myself and I literally can't sleep because I'm thinking like, oh, I didn't get this done, I didn't get that done. So yeah, I never feel accomplished. You know, I never feel like, and by no means am I saying like, oh, I made it, because I'm so far from my goals, but I'm trying. I'm the little engine that keeps trying, you know.
Well, we got to be honest. The free shipping thing came out, and you were the first one on it. I mean, you knew that before everybody. You're like, there's something here with the free shipping.
And I kept telling Matt, she's crazy. Mm-hmm. She's lost it. She's crazy. It's not going to work.
And guess who's doing free shipping right now?
Yeah. No, well, you and I both, Cindy and Matt, we were both so vocal against free shipping.
Oh, I mean,
these years, I never did free shipping. And when people were saying, or when I would see people with buy it now with free shipping, I'd look at them like, you're crazy. I'm never free shipping ever. And me seeing that it did boost us, that was just, I would like to say I saw something, I did some detective work and I was smart, but it wasn't, it was just good timing because I really wanted to do away with best offer. And I felt like I couldn't have no best offer and no free shipping. So that was kind of the barter with myself, was like, okay, delete best offer, come in with your best price, and then add free shipping and see what happens. Mm-hmm. And after an initial decline, which always happens anytime I change my eBay model, I gave it enough time, and then all of a sudden it picked up. So
yeah,
and that's the key with any kind of changes. You have to give it some time to kind of take hold and grow.
Yeah. But one of the things that you're really good about is noticing those changes and constantly learning. So you're constantly looking at new products. And that's what we wanted to talk about tonight, was diversifying. And not just diversifying platforms, but diversifying within a platform. And you are so good at, I know we've talked about doing the four corners of the thrift store and not passing opportunity and really learning all of those things. So tell us a little bit about where you started and how we got here.
Yeah, I mean, just when were we talking? We talk every day, but which conversation was it? It was just so crazy the other day when, sorry, I'm getting messy. My son's at the mall, so I'm like, what are you doing? Who are you with? Sorry, messages coming in. We were talking about how before we could do it with just women's, like me, I only sold, not only was I in the niche market of women, but within women's, I only sold dresses and tops. That was it. Mm-hmm. And I used to be able to do really well. When I was 100% auctions, I mean, I was doing like $20K a month, just the dresses and the tops, but I was 100% auction. So that was a lot of work though. It was, auctions would, ended opening bid. Some would go up, but so the turnover, I was working literally like crazy. But I never thought that the momentum would slow. And then I started to see I was doing the same activities, but I wasn't getting the same results. As at the time, I was not on YouTube or Instagram or anything, so I didn't know what was happening. I just kind of was like, how come I'm not making the same, but I'm doing the same activities? And you know, after I found the community and I saw like there were so many resellers in it, and it was only getting bigger and bigger, and the markets kept getting more saturated and saturated. And I think we all meant to help, talking about markets. Like we all meant to help with our hauls and BOLO. And I don't think I never thought that helping as far as BOLOs and brands and stuff, I never thought it would have zero impact. I'm not dumb. I knew it was going to have some impact. I underestimated the degree of the impact. Things that we used to sell for $40, now we sell for $20. So I knew that I couldn't do the same activities and expect the same result because it was just declining. So then I'm like, okay, I'll try shoes. So then I added shoes, and I forgot what it was. It was a liquidation I got, and it had bras in there. And I never thought to sell pre-owned bras because these look like they had been tried on. And I'm like, should I even do that? To my surprise, bras are great. They're great, even pre-owned. Something I would have never thought about. Bras, shoes, jeans, different kinds of shoes, and then going into the men's, just the men's button, starting with the men's sports, because you know I love sports. So men's sports stuff, and then polo shirts, and I just kept adding. It didn't happen overnight. It was like, okay, I'm going to do the pants. Okay, now I'm going to do the jeans. Okay, now I'm going to do the bras. Now I'm going to do the men's. Like I just kept adding, and then now I even do the electronics. Pretty much the only thing I'm leaving out at the thrift right now is hard goods and kids and, you know, plush.
And I know you'll get there.
Yeah.
I know you're already like walking through the glass aisle. So you're starting.
At least I go through it with my little cart. And yes, Gary V brought a lot of it.
Yes.
A lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's Loretta. Thrift loves selling hard goods.
Yeah.
Hard goods
Loretta, now I actually walk through the aisle where before I would be like, ugh. So.
Well, and I think some of the hard goods, you're not going to see the saturation like you do with clothing because there's just a million J. Jills out there. So that's going to get saturated. But there's only a few of those really unique hard good items that people can flip and make money. So I don't think you'll see the big saturation like you will.
Yeah.
My phone said it was going dead. I'm like, it's just at 70. I guess this goes.
Yeah, and I know like with the plush, like I never did plush for the longest time. Yeah. And then you just kind of start, you know? And I think that's important. Like I still don't know as much about plush as I know about clothing.
Oh yeah.
But I went through and I learned, you know, 10 things to look for in plush. And so then I'd just go through and I'd see if I'd find any of those 10. And then you continue to just add a few more and add a few more and add a few more.
Well, you also just figured out these are the things to look for in plush. So I'm not trying to research everything in the plush bin. I'm looking for some of these criteria to search it. Yeah. And that helps when you start to branch out as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Alyssa Thrift asked, do you think it'll swing back? Resales get discouraged, so the market will go back. I don't think it'll ever go back to what it was.
I don't think so either.
I think that some brands may come back a little bit, but I think overall, I think clothing is saturated. I think clothing is going to continue to be saturated. So yeah, I think that learning those other areas of the thrift store, is just so important. You know, when I talked to our business consultant and he told me, you know, you're losing money every time you go to the thrift store. I'd never thought about that.
Love how he says that. Sorry, I keep coughing.
That's okay. So, you know, because you drive yourself there, you've spent gas, you've spent time, whatever, to get there. So you're in the red when you walk through that door. And so for you to leave any money behind is crazy because you've already lost, you know, you're at a deficit when you walk through the door. So what are you missing? And so that's when Matt quit. So he started the men's, which was great because I knew a few things to pick up. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of just said, figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out, and the rent's due, or the mortgage is due in 2 weeks. So
yeah, that's pretty much what I said.
That's exactly what you said.
It's exactly what I said.
The day that I made I made a post. I think it was on Wednesday. I had $1,000 day, but it didn't feel like $1,000 day because I was selling. When you add up the multiple platforms, that's like the power of multiple platforms. Not to say my eBay day was bad. 600 is great for me. You know, that's great. Mm-hmm. But even when I looked at what I was selling, I sold a bra, I sold electronics, I sold football cleats, I sold swimsuits, I sold a dress, I sold a bag, I sold a iPad case, like for the big ones, a Kate Spade one. So then I thought, like, wow, I've come a long way. And if anything's going to save me in this reselling game going forward, it's that. It's that was a perfect day for me. I loved that day because it was the diversity. Sorry, I felt like the diversity saved me. And if we could just like get that information out there to people that, like, how do they say, hope for the best? No, I don't know that saying.
Hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Yes, that. Because I would hate, it'll break my heart to see people just starting to lose all their monthly income. Because it's getting worse. Like the end of summer, last year when summer slowdown happened, and then it kind of came back and then it just like dumped. And remember me and you, Cindy, were on the phone going, what is happening?
What's going on?
We've been on eBay long enough where we know this is not normal. Mm-hmm. So that's when we really started getting focused. We were already just diversifying, but that drove home the point that we needed to diversify the platforms and what we were selling. So you're less vulnerable. Yeah. If we're selling in one market on one platform, if that market is not selling, then you've left yourself vulnerable. And
exactly.
We're able to be vulnerable. And so
that's and I
about it.
Yeah, I think that women's clothing is going to take the hardest hit.
I agree.
And that's where so many people here is in women's clothing, and it's just getting hit hard. And I know that last fall, Etsy really saved us. Mm-hmm. I mean, there were days that it was like, thank you, God, for Etsy, because it was tough, you know, and Etsy got really, really hard. So, or eBay got really, really hard. But then learning all of those different items so that even when you walk into the thrift store, if we were at a thrift store, just this week, and a Free People tank top was like $7, just a plain Jane Free People tank top, $7.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no margin there. You can't do that. So, okay, what do you do then? Well, then, you know, now I know lots of stuff to look for in the hard goods section. I know lots of stuff to look for in shoes. I know bags. I know plush. You find an area that isn't overpriced, and that's what saves you.
Well, even not overpriced, but things that sell for higher dollar values. I mean, you did find something that will sell for a higher dollar value, so it made the trip worthwhile. And I think another problem people are finding is that there's so many more people doing this now that the stores are also being picked harder. I mean, we used to go and just load up 2 carts easily anywhere we went. And now it's harder to find.
It's harder to find
a lot of stuff because so many people are doing it. So you got to branch out. You got to know just a lot of different stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, don't get overwhelmed if you're thinking, okay, I'm very knowledgeable in this one area. Just pick up one more area next time just start small like I did. I didn't just add 10 categories overnight. I would start with just going down that aisle that I never went down before. It's just about casting a wider net. That's another thing you and I have talked about a lot, Cindy. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to see people fall.
Yeah.
Prepare. Yeah. Let's prepare, guys. Like, cast a wider net on the items you're picking up and the platforms that you're selling on, so you're not vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I know that for us, a lot of times we call it buying our knowledge. Mm-hmm. So, like if you go to college and you take a class, you've paid for knowledge. So a lot of times we'll pick something up at the thrift store because we just think it looks cool. And maybe it's like a pottery piece or something, and it's got a signature on it, but it's not something you can just look up. But for $2 or $3, you bring it home, and maybe it's junk.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's junk. But what that forces you to do is figure out that category. And now you go down the rabbit hole of vases, or you go down the rabbit hole of maker's marks, and now you know for next time.
Right. And I always say, I like to rap in my head. So I always say,
I love this.
When you don't earn, you learn. So, and that's how I always think. And I always think when you're starting something new, it's about the process, not the profits. Of course, mm-hmm. Not forever, just in that beginning phase. You kind of have, business has dues and you have to pay them. None of us get by with having more knowledge and being somewhat successful without paying some dues,
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And I know that, we've put in the dues, and just because you've put in the dues on one side doesn't mean that you don't then have to pay the dues. Then if you want to start a new other category, or you want to start another platform, or you want to expand into wholesale, you're going to have to pay different dues. Right. Every little section has dues.
Well, and you're constantly paying dues, even on sections you've already known.
Right.
Styles change.
And it changes.
Brands changes. And
yeah.
This is on trend now. And
yeah.
So you're always learning. Always.
Yeah.
I was just going to answer a few questions. What do we do when an item sells on Posh and eBay at the same time? That's a risk I'm willing to take, because the risk, if you're organized, is small. Of course, if we're talking one-off items, so you can make sure that you're very organized. So I keep the item number, my custom SKU, on eBay with a P at the end. So if it sells on eBay, then when it's in my awaiting shipment, it has a P at the end. I know I to go to end it. But that's a risk I'm willing to take. I'm sorry. I'm knocking at my door. Hold on one second, guys.
Okay.
That's okay. You go. We will stop.
Well, and if something, and this is my suggestion, if something sells on the exact same time on two different platforms, look at what the penalties are by canceling the item on each platform, and cancel it on the platform that doesn't penalize you the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if there's something, that you get a big penalty for, sell it on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And right now, eBay has the biggest penalty for canceling an item. So yeah, we cancel on Poshmark, and it stinks, and you hate to do it, and I hate to, let a buyer down or whatever, but
you've got to look at your business.
Yeah, you're going to let somebody down.
But very honestly, we have several hundred items on each platform. Yeah. And it very rarely happens. I think it's only happened to us a couple of times.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've sold quite a bit. And probably at least one of those times was my own fault for not taking it down.
Right. I would say it's only times and one was my fault. Actually, they were both my fault. So it just goes back to organization. But for the long,
that's Monica,
right?
She's like, they were my fault.
Yeah, they were my fault. I just didn't do it in time. I was in a hurry and just too much stuff going on. But again, it's a risk I'm willing to take, and there's just so much. Yeah, it will happen eventually.
Yeah, and you're not perfect, and that's okay.
And yes, I feel on Posh because eBay has a much bigger penalty because I've been there for that exact reason was defects. And it had nothing to do with Posh. I still like to claim my innocence. But they said that I relisted a bunch of items that I had sold and then they sold again and I didn't realize how many there were. And of course I was honest and I put the reason that I sold it already, that out of stock. And then I went below standard and I basically was in the eBay doghouse for like 3 months. So I would never do that again. Both often no-lows, yes. Because BOLOs, I mean, again, this is obviously just our thoughts on it, but BOLOs are hard, are not useful to me because everything matters on everything. Like, so what if it's this brand, but certain sizes within a brand don't sell? Certain styles within a brand don't sell for me. Certain seasons within a brand don't sell for me. And so there's just too many scenarios. Like, it's just, again, that's my opinion.
A couple of years ago, I mean, we've seen it. A couple of years ago, you could say this brand sells, or all these brands sell, no matter what. And now it's become just so specific. You have to know.
Yeah. Well, and then a BOLO list is great if you live in that person's backyard and you can find that. But if you live in a different area, Monica could do a BOLO list on scuba stuff and surfing stuff, and a lot of good that's going to do us because we can't find that here. So it so matters where you live, what is available to you, all of that also.
Yes, size matters. Yes, Oakbrook. It sure does.
He's on a roll today.
He's so silly. BOLO lists are crappy. Yeah. Yes, sis. Yes, sis. Yes. Chris says Hermé is a great seller.
Yes.
Let's try and find. And it's like we can talk about the BOLOs that are so high end that kind of stuff doesn't matter. But the odds of you finding it, I mean, I've been thrifting for over a decade, and I can tell you how many times I've found something like an Hermé thing or like a Gucci anything. So
or Chanel, and you
BOLO Chanel,
right? BOLO on Chanel.
BOLO.
Once you find one of those items, like I have found one Chanel piece, I can tell you exactly what thrift store it was in, exactly what rack it was on, exactly where in the store, because it's so imprinted on your brain when you finally find one of those things.
I found a Chanel.
You did find a Chanel, and you can probably tell us exactly where it was. Yeah.
And if I were just starting though, and I just want to get an idea of brands, I would look on websites like therealreal.com and scroll through their designer list. That's a consignment store that you can also send your clothing to, and they actually have a PDF file of their brand lists. So you just go to therealreal.com and you can download their brand list. That's a good place to start. But there's just no hard and fast rules in reselling. All the rules are so loose because everything depends on everything else.
Yeah. And just because that item sells for somebody, now we have to start looking at, okay, well, how did they write their title? What was the return policy? What was their shipping? And so it really just is so all-encompassing. And material, yes.
Real quick on what you were saying, like capitalizing on your area, that's I feel something we don't talk enough about. Like you were just saying there, because I had to answer the door, but I live by the beach. I could get a lot of wetsuits. And every time I go, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the wetsuits. But I feel like every single person has a niche that they could really milk more than they're milking right now.
Mm-hmm. And that's part of diversifying, is paying attention to what is in your area. What do you know about that somebody else might not know about? Maybe, you are a seamstress or a knitter, and so you know yarn. Seamstress, that's a thing. Yeah. See that look? That's a thing. But if you know that kind of thing, if you know fishing, is that better for you?
A seamstress, really?
Seamstress. Somebody had said sewing patterns in the comments.
I'm reading the comments. My sis, JS Thrifts and Flips, says that ThreadUp Luxe now also has a list, and thank you for reminding me because I need to send some stuff in after seeing yours. And then Chris said Material World also has a list. Again, if you're just starting out, it's nice to browse through stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, and then Matt took his list and put it on his phone in alphabetical order of brands that he was looking for. And so then when he was at the thrift store, you could just scroll through his own little list. You could take any of those lists from the Real, ThreadUp, whatever, and just make a list on your phone that then you just scroll through.
Yeah, put it on my notepad.
Yeah.
On phone.
Yeah, and this and that Shaq says, I think people have misunderstood the true meaning of BOLO. If BOLO isn't something that you find everywhere you go. That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, a BOLO is something that, what the BOLO started out, for those of us that have been around forever, BOLO started out as things like that scrubbing bubble shower cleaner that goes for crazy money that you would probably walk past and never even think to look up. And I've been looking for that thing for 4 years now, and I found one. So it's not something that's going to get saturated tomorrow because you're probably not going to find it. But if you happen to be at a garage sale and you see it, you should pick it up. That's what the BOLOs started out as.
You're not BOLOing Ralph Lauren. I mean,
that's
something
yes.
just normal. I mean, you're BOLOing very unique.
Yeah. The weird, the unusual, the stuff that you go, seriously, that's worth money?
Yeah.
Those were the BOLOs.
And Vintage Runs Deep also makes a good point. The thrift employees retain a lot of merch. I know with mine, they're sending, we now have we've always had a Goodwill boutique. So when I go in there, it's all the St. John, if there is any Gucci, even Lululemon. So they have definitely caught on, even if they're not keeping it for themselves or for their boutique, they definitely have priced them way higher than what we used to see in the wild. Like even 2 years ago. 2 years wasn't as bad.
Yeah. Somebody asked what the scrubbing bubble is. It's literally, it was a shower cleaner. It was like a thing that you stuck on your shower and it sprayed the shower. It's a cleaning thing. Scrubbing bubble shower cleaner.
Yes, J. Jilly.
Yes, the J. Jilly. She calls it Pilly J. Jilly. Right? No, he's going to say that every time. Pilly J. Jilly.
So sweet.
Yeah, somebody put a question. I can't find it. But that's how the BOLOs started. And then they just became everything you sell.
Yeah.
Like vintage diapers. Like, who knew? You'd walk by a pack of old Pampers and that's money.
Yeah.
Yeah, St. John's Bay. Yeah, BOLO to the St. John's Bay. What did you say the other day? St. John was yay and St. John's Bay was nay. You were on a roll that day, too. I just think it's really important for people to start thinking, especially going into summer. Like, this is the time to really start thinking about, okay, what other items can I be looking for? Where else could I be sourcing? Is there something in my area? Really start looking outside of this box of the way that, of women's clothing, even men's clothing, because the summer gets really tough for clothing sellers.
I feel like, again, every summer for the last 5 years, in my experience, you can tell me if you felt the same, guys, but I feel like every summer has gotten worse. And I feel like it's gotten longer too.
Yes.
Like earlier and it ends later. So
yeah, it used to be like just the month of July. Then it was like the beginning of June to the middle of August. Yeah, and now it's definitely harder. It just is. Yeah, get a jump on the summertime blues. It's real. For sure, this and that check. Absolutely. And so when does it kind of start? You want to gauge a guess on the time frame for this summer slowdown will be this year?
Early
out of school.
End of May, maybe. Again, prepare for the worst. Worst case. You guys got to act like worst case, it's going to start next month. Start preparing now. And I hope the last thing we're trying to do is to scare anybody. That's not what we're trying to do.
Oh, no.
What we're trying to do is let you guys know the trends we've seen so that we can help you better prepare in case it keeps going into the decline. How can you cast a wider net? How can you make sure you're less vulnerable? And you can do that by being on multiple platforms and learning new niches, new categories. The category that I've been very pleasantly surprised in that I've gotten into is electronics. Used electronics, the VCRs, the old calculators with the tape. I mean, those kind of. I was laughing at myself because one of the first times I sold a VCR, I literally flat laid my VCR on my furry rug. Hey, it sold for like $60 and I got it for $2, but
yeah. So somebody asked why summer slowdown. I think part of the summer slowdown is the simple fact that a t-shirt is going to sell for less than a sweater. And you can only list so many items in a day. So summer clothing typically costs less than winter clothing. You're not selling coats, jackets, big boots, those kinds of things. And then I think you have more people that are traveling. They're outside. We've been stuck inside for 9 months. I'm outside. I'm not sitting online.
Well, not Monica. She's in California.
I know, but we're not talking about the fact that she can go outside all year.
I've invited you both. My home is your home.
I'm going to watch the World Cup with you.
Yes! I love World Cup.
Oh, gosh, the two of you watching the World Cup screaming at the refs. That
He dove.
That would be a YouTube video that could go viral. You and Monica.
Yeah, but you're going to find also things start to sell better in summer.
Yes.
Like stuff. We always say like outdoor camping. What do people do in the summer? They go out. What do they do when they go out?
Yeah.
They want camping or golf or whatever.
Outdoor entertainment stuff. Stuff to keep your kids busy. All of that kind of stuff. Then, increases during the summer. So, if you can start preparing now, because as soon as summer hits, all the thrift stores take all that camp stuff and they jack the prices up because everybody wants it. So now's the time to find it before they start jacking up the prices.
Jay, Thrift and Flips made a good point. She says, there's more competition, even online, not just necessarily by other sellers. If you are selling clothes, you are competing with ThredUp, etc. There are more choices for the consumer. And that's not just other resellers. It's yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. And, even in the stuff, Goodwill now has an auction site. They're selling directly online. Goodwill sells on eBay. A lot of Goodwill sell on eBay. So you've got that. Yeah, you've got ThredUp. You've got Mercari. You've got Poshmark. You've got Threadsy. I saw somebody asked about True Gather. We've done that too. So yeah, you've got Facebook Marketplace, but as much as that's all then competition, those are also all opportunities. Mm-hmm. So I know somebody who made a crud ton of money this week because they bought something on like OfferUp and sold it on Facebook Marketplace. All cash. Cash is king. No, but it was a big item, and those are all opportunities there.
No, nothing.
But she knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well, and that's, again, you have to be educated.
Yes.
You have to educate yourself in just a lot of stuff now.
Yeah, it wasn't clothing. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I have not been one to go to yard sales, so that would be something I'm willing to do.
Electronics, that's your game.
You can pick up electronics for cheap at yard sales.
Yeah, I'm thinking especially VCRs, because people think that VCRs are not worth anything, and some aren't. It depends, but
is cross-posting to different platforms illegal or get you banned from eBay or Posh? Cross-posting is not illegal in any. It's not against the rules at all to cross-post. The only thing that eBay does not want you to do is to take your buyer from eBay to another platform. So if a buyer messages you and says, hey, could I buy this cheaper on Poshmark? Absolutely not. That item needs now to sell on eBay because they do monitor those messages. So they don't want to pay for advertising, bringing customers in, and then have you say to that buyer, hey, I'll sell it to you cheaper over here. So you just don't want to do that. But if the buyer finds your item on Poshmark and they buy it on Poshmark and you end it on eBay is totally okay with that. Not against the rules at all.
I'm just going to answer a question. Honey E asked, did you start with clothing, and how long after did you start to turn a profit? So I did start with clothing. I started with just selling my own stuff, which is what we always recommend to new people. Mm-hmm. Sell your own stuff. Again, it's about the process, not the profits. So you can get used to the logistics of the website, the shipping, just everything, putting the listing up, the pictures. And then after that, I would go to Dollar Day at Savers. And I remember the first time I went, I bought 50 items. So obviously $50, everything was $1. And I auctioned everything off at $5.99 or $7.99. And so I made a profit pretty much right away. Now, was it a lot? No, because a lot of things just sell at the opening bid until I got a groove and I got kind of like relevancy. We've talked about relevancy. I gained a lot of relevancy in auctions, so my auction started to get a lot of bids. So it grew quickly because every week I would get a little bit more than the previous week. So then the next week I got 60 items, and then the next week I got 70 items, and picking up like more than 200 items a week. So it was pretty fast, but it was a lot of work because it was awesome.
And again, that was a few years ago when you started.
Yes.
So it's different now. It's not, I don't think it's as easy to turn a profit right away. I think you have to work harder and be smarter.
Yeah.
It was sellers. And speaking of BOLOs, how I learned about brands other than what I already knew was because I was 100% auctions. The market told me what was a good brand or not. So I learned from the consumer on eBay. They told me, depending on the demand for items. So then I would realize, like, whoa, that X item had multiple bids and never heard of it. And
I buy it again.
So I would buy it again. Or I would see, okay, certain sizes in this brand sell good. I'm going to buy it again. So then that's how I learned. I learned because I was 100% auctions, and I listened to what the market said.
Yeah. Well, and you can do that even now with your own items, even if you're not auctions. Just start paying attention to what items get views right away. What items get a lot of watchers right away? What items sell right away? What do you get, that traffic from? That's kind of the same idea if you're running fixed price now. It's to really pay attention to your own store, because I know, and Monica, we've talked about this a lot, there are items that you can sell all day long that I can't sell. And so you could BOLO that whole list and I could go and buy them all and I'd be up Poop Creek.
Because of what you had brought up, and that, remember how I told you I have a suspicion that there's an eBay footprint that we're creating. And that's why when we change, it takes eBay like a few weeks to a month to catch up or like believe us that we're changing. Because every change on eBay, it hasn't reflected right away. It's like a lagging indicator. And I believe that happens even with brands, and that's why that happens. Like for the longest time, how we always talk about the Dojos. I could not sell Dojos to save my life. But I kept trying. I kept buying those I kept trying. And so finally it was like eBay believed me, and now I can sell them. So it's the relevancy. There's a relevancy factor in the search per seller. Again, do I know that for a fact? No, but I'm saying that based on my experience.
Yeah, and we've seen it just time and time again with so many different sellers, and the Dojos. I still can't sell them, and I don't find them enough to get any relevancy in them. So I'm just going to start sending them to you.
No,
I still can't.
You're going to keep selling them. You're going to keep selling them. Before I forget about you said about the watchers, how I found out what sold well for me was based on what had a lot of bids, right? And then you were talking about watchers. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but you can sort by watchers. So if you go to your active listings, and you know how you can sort by date, mine naturally go with ending soonest. That's how my active displays. But on that menu bar, there's one, if you click on the watchers, you can sort by watchers. And I think that's pretty useful. And I haven't really talked about that before. So when you said the watchers, I wanted to remember to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody had a question for you. Monica, do you keep a record of the brand and what it sells for, or do you rely on check a flip? I've noticed that different items sell for different amounts depending on the seller.
I know this, people don't like this answer because it's not cut and dry, and I've mentioned this many times on my stories, I don't go by solds. I never have. I never even thought about that until I got on Instagram. That was one of those things when I heard people saying, I check comps. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I was 100% auction. And so there was no need to check for comp.
Right.
I wasn't buy it now. I let the market decide. And then when I switched to buy it nows, I kind of just went off what my best auction prices would be. So I know it's like an easy answer for everyone to follow, but I don't go by solds. I go by my history with the item and what I think it will sell for. And honestly, if it's in style, if I think it's cute, and I take into a fact that I have a lot of feedback. I feel like deserve, I don't know how you say it. Like, I feel like because I've been on eBay a long time, that a customer should trust me. Mm-hmm. I feel like I can charge a smidge more. I don't know if that makes sense. But.
Yeah. Monica's one of the few sellers that I know that after all these years, she still has 100% positive feedback. Right? Like, every time I'm just like, all hail Monica, because there's, I don't know when the last time I had 100% positive feedback was. Probably day 2. But
kiss everyone's okay. The trick to having 100% feedback. Don't have to do a lot as much as booty kissing as you think. What you have to do is make sure that you answer your messages, because a lot of the times when people don't answer their messages, that's most customers are going to message you. And what I like to do is I like to give preemptive strikes. So when someone messages me and even hints that they're upset or dissatisfied, I automatically respond by, the first thing I do is I thank them for sending me the message, and I imply that they're nice. So I say, Cindy, that was so nice of you. Thank you for sending me that message. I really appreciate it. So the fact that I'm telling you you're nice, when you respond to me the next time, I've already diffused you. So
that you disarmed them.
You can't be a biatch because I just said, Cindy, thanks so much for taking the time to write me that message. I really appreciate it. It's very, very nice of you. And then I go ahead and address the issue. Like, I greatly apologize. For me, it's usually something that I missed, like Pilly G Jilly, or like a missing button, or just something. I'm not perfect. So, and in my experience, most customers are good. So I give them the benefit of the doubt. And if someone is trying to scam me, there's been so few and far in between out of 40,000 transactions that I'm not willing to fight over that, So then I address the issue, and then I offer them solutions. I'm happy to provide you with a return label. If you would be so kind as to attach some pictures for me so I can see. So that's what it is. That's all I do. I tell them that they're nice, and I thank them for taking the time to message me. So
yeah, that's a great tip to diffuse that situation right from the beginning, calm everybody down, and then let's move forward. Yeah, and I know that you're really good, and I will totally admit this. So our negatives right now are people that didn't send messages first. They just leave the negative. And you're really good about emailing people after the fact and getting them to reverse it, and I'm not.
Yeah, I have.
I'm a little salty.
No, I get it. I guess for me, though, that might have to do with my background in banking. And I was the branch manager. And why do people want to see the branch manager? Because they're mad. That's like the number one reason, right? And you're messing with money. So I would have to just go with my best foot forward and just try to figure out a solution. So when I get a negative, I kind of like put that corporate hat back on, you know, like how am I going to fix? I kind of take it as a challenge. How am I going to fix this? And again, I do genuinely believe generally that people are good and honest. And I think, okay, what did I do to what? Like, how did I mess this up? So I, again, send them a message and evolution of a gentleman. Yes, bank background makes a difference. And I say, you know, I apologize that this happened. I am happy to refund you. How do I word it? I say something like, may I humbly ask that you would consider revising the feedback. I wish I would have had the opportunity before you left the negative, but you know, obviously I didn't, but I see it now and I want to make sure that you're satisfied with the transaction. So
She's good.
May I humbly ask for you to revise it. I am going to send you a full refund. So I send them the refund, and yes, of course, there is a possibility that I'm going to give them the money and they're not going to revise the feedback. But that never happened. It's never happened. Every time I refund, they have revised the feedback.
Wow.
She's good.
Oh, she's amazing. I'm just going to let her do all of ours from now on because she's amazing. All right. We have 4 minutes. So I know this went by so totally fast. Last tips to diversifying. If somebody's just in clothing, what's the one area you think that they should go to start diversifying?
I would say electronics.
Easy to look up. But, okay, Monica, I don't know if it works or not. What do I do now?
Oh, you got to plug it in.
Come on, you silly.
Well, how do you know? That's the question that always comes up. How do you know if it works or not? At Savers, a lot of times they do have plugins.
Yeah, you plug it in. Okay, let's back up. If you're just in women's clothing, are you even, before you go to the next category, are you even milking all of that? Like jeans was one of the things that I wasn't picking up, but it has to be the premium jeans. So that brand does matter. So I look for jeans that are close to $200 brand new.
Mm-hmm.
So, and shoes, if you're not doing shoes, like just keep adding. But I would try though to at least diversify complete 180. So like if you are doing women's clothing, then try electronics, sporting goods, like something like that.
Great tip. Well, thank you for coming and hanging out with us tonight. I know we've wanted to do this for a while and you've been busy having a life.
I don't have a life.
But we so appreciate it. And thank you for everything that you do.
You're happy to do it. Thank you guys.
Amazing.
I'm sad that I didn't get to read all the comments, guys. I'm sorry.
Yes. When we record, though, the dual live, we'll record it and put it on YouTube, and then you can go back and read all the comments, which is really cool.
Oh, the comments do go on there.
Yes, because the comments will stay.
Oh, nice.
So
I always
I
don't get through.
Yeah, and then they're delayed. All right. Well, you guys have a great night. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight.
Thanks, Monica.
Bye.
Bye.